In today's video, I'm sharing with you how to stress less so that you can live more, monthly edition. Let's get right into it. Okay, friends, welcome back to another edition of the Stress Less Live More series. If you did not know, this is the second video in the series, and if you haven't seen the first video, I do recommend you stop watching this video and go watch the first one right now, and then come back to this one because the videos are intertwined. They all connect with one another, starting from the very first all the way to the very end, and you do have to watch them in sequential order. So go watch that video and then come back and watch this one. The good thing is that this is the second video in the series, so you don't have too much to catch up on. It's just that one video first. And in that very first video, we talked about stressing less so that we can live more on a yearly scope. And in today's video, we're going one step down to monthly. So you can probably guess how the progression is going to go here. We're starting very big with yearly, and we're going all the way down to daily, which is what the whole series is going to end up going through. But like I said, this is the second video, so we're going to be talking about things on a monthly scale. And I should also say that it's good to watch the first video because the first video has a lot of examples that I will be using throughout the entire series. This is all so that everything is very cohesive and sequential and makes sense as you go through the series. So hopefully it is very easy for you to follow along. But just to do a quick refresher, what does stress less to live more mean? It's kind of this whole thing, this whole campaign that I have been going after since I started slow living, in that slow living and productivity go hand in hand. I say that all the time. I talk about it all the time. I never fully explain it, but that's what this series is all about. I'm explaining my entire process of slow living and productivity going hand in hand and how I do that, how I achieve that, so that my busy lifestyle can still go about and I can still be very productive in that sense, but I also have time and space to practice my slow living practices. Again, I talk about this in much more detail in that first video, so I don't want to be too redundant. And this video can be applied to personal joys, self-improvement, or work, projects, / getting your life together kinds of goals. And I will use examples for each three of these categories throughout the video. Again, the same examples that I used in the first video. Okay, now to quickly recap yearly. I know I'm referencing the first video a lot, but it's just a very, very quick refresher as to how the things that I'm talking about in today's video is going to relate to the first video. But in the first video, we talked about yearly goals, big goals, goals that will last throughout the year, that can be accomplished throughout the course of an entire year, and also diverse, varied goals. So goals of different kinds, of different categories, and things like that. And so once we have our list of goals, it doesn't need to be a list, it can be just one goal, but once we have our goals set up for the year, we then take those goals and break it down on a monthly level, on a monthly scale, like I've mentioned. So how do we do that? If we think about it in our heads, if we think about it visually, we have these gigantic goals, very, very big. Let's say they're this big. And again, they last for the entire year and they're this big. We just cannot get to it in a day. It's meant to be accomplished throughout the course of a year. Now, in order to tackle something very big and looming over your head and kind of intimidating, we have to break it up into little pieces so that it gets just a little bit smaller and a little bit more attainable, a little less scary, stressful, overwhelming, digestible, tangible, all of these words. Basically, long story short, a way for us to easily address these big goals that are probably otherwise intimidating if we just look at it from this scale. So we're over here now, and here's how we're going to break it down. Again, I'm going to use examples for those three categories that I mentioned at the top of the video or in the midst of this video, but the first example is growing and harvesting tomatoes. So this is a personal joy type of goal. As I mentioned before, there's different categories, and so say you want to grow and harvest tomatoes. That's obviously not going to happen overnight. That happens over the course of several months out of the year. And so how we break it down is, let's say in January, you start thinking about what you want to grow. Very simple. Again, you think about that task for the whole entire month of January and it seems very simple. That's the point. We're trying to break things down so that they are less intimidating and they are very easily achievable. That's how you kind of build up all of these different pieces to accomplish one great big goal at the end of the year. So in January, we're thinking about what we want to grow. In February, we're going to order our seeds. This can take some time. This can take no time at all. You can go to your local nursery, you can go to Home Depot, whatever it may be. But you have the entire month of February to order those seeds. Then in March, you're going to start setting up your garden area. It's starting to get a little bit warm. You can actually go outside and not need to wear a puffer jacket. Maybe you clean out your gardening planter boxes. Maybe you have a greenhouse. Maybe you're doing this all indoor. You got yourself some pots and you're getting your soil. Just little things to set up in the month of March. And then in April is when you start planting your seeds. Literally taking those seeds that you ordered in February, putting them into the soil that you set up in March, and getting them all set up to be little sprouts by the end of April, hopefully. And it just goes on from there, et cetera, et cetera. So May, maybe you transfer your sprouts over to your gardening bed. In June, you start fully growing plants. In July, you're continuing maintenance, feeding your plants, and it just keeps going on and on from there. I don't think I need to explain the entire gardening season to you in this video, but as you can see, I took one big goal of one thing, of like accomplishing one big thing, and I broke it down into very tangible assignments or tasks for each individual month. Now, it's not going to be super straightforward like that all the time. Maybe you have a couple of tasks to do in one month and one task in another month. Maybe you have a handful of tasks to do in one month and then a couple of tasks to do in another month. You're going to be the one who decides how you divide this up, but I would just suggest that you divide it up in a very accessible and approachable way. So if you have 10 things associated with a particular goal, don't put all 10 in January. Try to do 2 every single month or 1 every single month if it's okay for you to accomplish it by December, let's say. Of course, in this example, growing and harvesting tomatoes, the gardening season is very short. So like certain things are going to be done once a month, or certain things are going to be done multiple times in a month because we have a shorter time frame of accomplishing this goal. We don't have all 12 months, but you can obviously use your best discretion there and figure out how you're going to divvy up your monthly tasks. And we have some more examples. So another example, this one's a really easy example, but it's to read 12 books by the end of the year. So obviously you can do the math there and you can tell yourself to read 1 book a month. If you think about reading 1 book a month, that, depending on who you ask, that's extremely easy, that's extremely accessible and achievable. If you don't want to read 12 books a month, maybe you are more ambitious and you want to read like 100 books a month, you would do the math there and figure out how many books that you need to read in a given month. If you excel in a particular month, that's great. If you don't, that's okay as well. You can always transfer over things from each individual month, and that's where things start to get a little bit nuanced, but more or less you have a monthly goal. And by the way, the reading 12 books for the entire year can be seen as a self-improvement goal. Okay, and then the last example that's in the work, project, getting your life together kinds of goals category is to create a consistent 15-minute morning routine. So this one is a little bit looser. We talked about vague and specific goals in the first video. This one is a little bit more vague. So it might be harder for you to identify what needs to be done on a given month. That's very straightforward as compared to reading 1 book a month. But let me give you some ideas. The first thing that you can do in January is to simply start. Start your routine in January. It's going to be shaky. It's going to be rocky. It's going to be not perfect. But the fact that you started in January and that was your goal for January in particular means that you can accomplish that if you just simply start. And I think that is quite achievable and accessible. In February, you can work on consistency. So your goal for that month is simply being consistent with this 15-minute morning routine that you started in January. In March, you can do a bit of an assessment. Are you liking the way that your morning routine has been going for the past 2 months? Do you need to make adjustments? Do you need to make slight revisions or changes or switch things up completely? Is it not working for you? Is it working great for you? You can simply assess what you're doing in March. And by March, I will just say as a side note, when it comes to creating a slow morning routine or any routine or habit, if you've been doing it for about 3 months, it's officially a habit. And so you have the flexibility to start assessing and changing things up if you need to without feeling worried that you're just going to completely fall off. I have faith in you when it comes to that. Another example is in April. You can make more adjustments if you want. We're now approaching a different season. So maybe the morning routine that you created in the wintertime is going to be different now that we're in April and we are approaching spring and we have maybe spring priorities. So again, just very simple examples of how you can break something up, such as creating a consistent 15-minute morning routine and having it be accomplished throughout every single month, all the way down to the end of the year. You're holding yourself accountable by doing doing something every single month of the year. And again, you're achieving your goals. You're achieving your year-long goals, which is the whole point of this. And when we achieve these goals, depending on the category that we're talking about, you are prioritizing your personal joys. You are improving yourself in ways that you never really got to prioritize because you were so busy with work and other adulting responsibilities, or you're working on getting your life together so that you free up space and allow more time and space to do all of the other things that I talked about: personal joys, personal hobbies, slow living practices, all of the things. Again, that's something that I mentioned in the first video, but everything is interconnected here, so you're going to hear some repeats. Okay, now that we have kind of dissected our big yearly goals, I have to do this visual every single time I did this video now because I started it in this one. But anyway, we started with the big, wavering, scary year-long goals. We've broken it down to something a little bit more accessible and tangible in the monthly goals. Now, how do you keep track of this? How do we hold ourselves accountable for this space and making sure that we're doing things on a monthly basis? It's a lot easier to be kind of strict with ourselves on a daily basis, but at the same time, we can easily slip up one day and then that's completely out the window. Like, our habits are completely out the window, or our goals for the month can be out the window. And what I highly suggest you do, and you have seen me do this, you see me practice this on the channel obviously, you do monthly resets and reflections. You can go through so much of my videos and see that I do a monthly reset or a quarterly reset on this channel. So you can see examples of this if you want. But more or less, at the end of the month, you're going to sit down with yourself, and you can either use the prompts that I have in those videos and use them for yourself, because those prompts are directly created to help me progress in this kind of structure that I'm explaining to you in the series. Or you can do whatever it is that you want that helps you hold yourself accountable for keeping on track of your monthly goals. You can journal. You can answer the prompts like I said. You can have a straightforward conversation with the people around you if you have a support system that is helping you achieve these goals. You can write things down. You can put it in a Notion board. You could do whatever type of organization system that you use. You can even use like a little checklist that's in your notebook or in a notepad or on a sticky note. It doesn't need to be super intense like myself, as you've seen in my monthly reset videos, but you can use those videos as inspiration. All you're pretty much doing is ensuring that you have completed your monthly task that is applicable to your yearly goal, whichever yearly goal it is, or goals if it's multiple goals, and reflecting on how you got there, assessing what you need to do if you didn't get there, carrying things over to the following month if you didn't 100% complete the things that you did. And this is kind of foreshadowing for the following video that's coming right after this one, where we're going to start to see things break down on like a weekly basis so that you can actually go into your weeklies if you have a planner or whatever it is that you're going to use, and see what you're doing on a weekly basis that contributes to your monthly goals, that contributes to your yearly goals. So are you seeing the progression there? I hope that makes sense, and I hope this is super clear. I feel like I went through it really quickly, but basically after you have your big, large yearly goals and you set that up and you've broken them down into month-long goals, they can be small, they can be big, they can be multiple in 1 month, they can be one in 1 month. Maybe you do them every other month, depending on the goal that you're working on. Once you've broken it down there, you make sure that you are holding yourself accountable on a monthly basis at the end of every single month, and just check in with yourself. Just assess and see how you're doing. Nobody else is going to hold you accountable for your personal goals, so you have to put in the work here. And another little tidbit, another little bit of advice: try to make all of these things, all of these efforts that I'm talking about, as pleasant and positive as possible. It doesn't need to be super strict. Even though I'm giving you a strict structure, you don't have to approach it in a strict and scary way. You can be really loose with it. You can have fun with it. Show yourself grace. Not everything is going to be perfect. And I'm letting you know now, nothing is going to be perfect. But the fact that you're trying and attempting to stick to this little structure is going to be monumental. You may only complete half of the tasks that you wanted to do in the year, but the fact that you completed half is more than completing zero than before you started using this structure. So just helping you put things in perspective. You don't need to take yourself too seriously, but do use the structure to help you stay on top of yourself, hold yourself accountable, and get the things that you've always wanted to get done so that you can open up time and space for slow living practices. Or maybe you're using this for your slow living goals, which you can do both. or one or the other. Anyway, I just keep reiterating the fact that it's very flexible. But that is all for this video. If you have any questions, if you need me to explain anything further that I talked about in today's video, let me know in the comments. I do know that, this is just an innate system for me. So it's very easy for me to talk about it, but, easier said than done, especially if you're brand new to this system, and you probably are brand new to the system because I made it up on my own. Although I'm sure a lot of people also use this system. But anyway, it may be confusing to you. It may be a lot and overwhelming. And I just want to say that I'm here for you. If you have questions about anything, I'm more than happy to explain in detail in the comments or do follow-up videos or lives, Q&As, whatever it may be. I want to be a resource to you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you in the next video.